Have you ever made a decision and just a few hours later you're thinking, what was I possibly thinking? Or maybe you've argued with a friend about a shared memory and you both swear your version is the right one. Well, it turns out there's a really good reason for that. I mean, really let that sink in for a second. What if the one thing you count on for literally everything, your own mind, isn't giving you the full story? It's a pretty wild thought, right? But the truth is, our brains are constantly bending reality. Not because they're out to get us, but because they're trying to be, well, lazy. In a good way. So, what are these secret tricks? Well, in psychology, they're called cognitive biases. The best way to think about it is this. Your brain is a super powerful computer, but it's also trying to run on the lowest energy setting possible. So to save all that precious mental juice, it creates these little shortcuts to process the insane amount of information it sees every single day.
And that's the thing. A cognitive bias is just one of those energy-saving shortcuts. Now, they helped our ancestors survive, making life or death decisions in a split second. But there's a trade-off, speed for accuracy. And the craziest part? Most of the time, we don't even have a clue it's happening.
Okay, so let's dive into the first lie. And fair warning, it's one you're probably living in right this very second. We all build this little personalized echo chamber around ourselves, where our brain just loves to hear what it already thinks. It's like a feedback loop that just reinforces our own ideas over and over and over. The fancy term for this is confirmation bias. It's our brain's default setting to look for and pay attention to any piece of information that proves we were right all along. And it's sneaky because it's not just about what we search for online, it actually changes how we interpret new information as it comes in. You see this playing out every single day. Just think about scrolling on social media. Your eyes are almost like magnets for headlines that already fit your worldview. Or how about stereotypes? We'll remember the one single time a stereotype seemed to be true and totally forget the 10 times it wasn't. It makes it incredibly difficult to have our minds changed, even when solid facts are right there in front of us. Next up, let's talk about how your brain messes with time itself, both your past and your present. These next two lies are a tag team. One distorts how you remember things, and the other makes you feel like you're constantly living under a giant microscope. All right, here's a kind of spooky thought for you. Your memories are not like video recordings. They're not perfect, stable files you just open up. Nope. They are being actively edited and reshaped almost every time you access them. It's called memory distortion. See, every time you remember something, you're not just hitting play. It's more like you're recasting and reshooting a scene in a movie. And in that process, your brain might just tweak a few details, to make the story fit better with how you feel right now. And that is exactly why you and your sibling can have completely different memories of the same family vacation. Now let's talk about right now, the present moment. You ever trip on a crack on the sidewalk and your first thought is, oh my gosh, everyone saw that. Or you have a little spinach in your teeth and you're convinced the entire room is staring. Yeah, that's your brain lying to you. Big time. This is called the spotlight effect. It's so perfect, right? We're the main character in our own movie, so we just assume we're the main character in everyone else's movie too. But here's the reality check. Most people are way too busy worrying about their own imaginary spotlight to notice the tiny mistake you just made. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about something really powerful, our feelings. Emotions are, of course, absolutely vital, but they can also be terrible tour guides when it comes to objective reality. These next two lies show just how easily our emotions can hijack our brains and tell us what's real. So think about your day. Let's say 10 really great things happened and one kind of bad thing happened. When your head hits the pillow that night, what are you replaying in your mind? For almost all of us, it's that one negative thing. It just feels heavier, doesn't it? More significant. That's the negativity bias at work. And from a survival perspective, it makes perfect sense. Our ancestors who obsessed over that weird rustle in the bushes were a lot more likely to pass on their genes than the ones who were just admiring a nice flower. The problem is, in our modern world, that same bias just makes our problems feel way, way bigger than they actually are. This next lie is so sneaky because it feels so right. We tend to operate on this basic assumption that our feelings are a direct report on reality. If I feel guilty, it must be because I did something wrong, or if I feel anxious, then there must be a real danger nearby. This is a classic trap known as emotional reasoning. It's when your feelings become your facts. For instance, say you make one tiny mistake at work, and you suddenly feel like a total failure. Emotional reasoning is your brain telling you that because you feel like a failure, you are a failure, and it conveniently ignores the mountain of evidence of all your past successes. All right, we're on to our final two lies, and they're all about your brain's obsession with speed. I mean, to get through the day, your brain has to make thousands of snap judgments. But that need for speed means you're often not getting the whole picture, not even close. How many times have you gotten a short text message from someone and you're immediately convinced you know exactly what they're thinking and feeling, or you know exactly how a meeting is going to go before it even starts? That's your brain jumping ahead, filling in all the blanks to create a super fast, easy to digest story. Psychologists call this, fittingly, jumping to conclusions. And it usually shows up in two main ways. First, there's mind reading, where we just assume we know what someone else is thinking, usually something negative. And then there's fortune telling, where we predict a bad outcome like it's already set in stone. Both are shortcuts that skip the most important step, actually gathering any evidence. And this brings us to the final, and probably the biggest, most fundamental lie of them all. Your brain's default mode is not deep, careful, critical thinking. No, its default setting is autopilot. It has a whole rulebook it uses to navigate the world without you having to think too hard. The official name for these autopilot rules is cognitive shortcuts, or heuristics. And here's the big reveal. Everything we've talked about today, confirmation bias, the negativity bias, jumping to conclusions, they're all just different types of heuristics. They are these simple, efficient rules that keep your brain from overheating. But they are also the source of every single lie we've covered. So, if our brains are basically hardwired to lie to us, are we just doomed? Are we stuck being tricked forever? No, not at all. The point of all this isn't to make you paranoid about your own mind. It's to help you become more aware of its little tricks. And that awareness, that's the very first step to taking back control. And this right here is the whole ballgame. Just knowing these biases exist gives you a superpower. So the next time you feel that magnetic pull toward an article that just confirms what you already believe, you can stop and say, confirmation bias, and maybe look for an opposing view. When you feel that social anxiety creeping in, you can remind yourself it's just the spotlight effect. You can't turn these things off, that you absolutely can learn to manage them. So, we want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. If your brain is constantly taking shortcuts, rewriting your memories, and building echo chambers, it begs a really fascinating and maybe a little unsettling question. How much of what you believe to be 100% true is actually based on clear reality, and how much of it is just a really, really convincing story your brain is telling itself?